You hear these wild stories about Gordon Ramsay, right? The shouting, the intensity, exploding over like one undercooked potato. And this is a guy running a 90-restaurant empire worth a reported $220 million, it seems. Well, almost absurd.
It does on the surface.
But digging into this, we found that apparent absurdity, it's actually kind of the core philosophy behind his huge success. What was the first thing that really jumped out at you?
Well, the biggest aha
Right.
for me, looking at, his whole trajectory, was realizing he wasn't just in the food business. Not really.
Right.
We all know the persona: loud, brutal, super demanding.
Yeah, you can't miss it.
But behind all that fire, there's this meticulously designed system. The real shift, I think, was when Ramsay started seeing his restaurants not just as kitchens, but as these living, breathing financial organisms.
A system that built that empire, 90 restaurants across the globe, that $220 million net worth.
Exactly.
So this deep dive isn't just about celebrity chef memes.
No, not at all.
Our mission here is to go beyond those headlines. We really want to uncover how Gordon Ramsay built this global machine by controlling everything he possibly could.
And strategically letting go of what he couldn't. Yeah. It connects to this bigger picture. Starting with his financial thinking, he realized he wasn't really in the business of food.
Yeah.
He was in the business of consistency.
And that's a huge distinction, isn't it?
It is.
Because you'd absolutely think his empire is built on pure culinary brilliance. I mean, 3 Michelin stars, the plating, beef Wellington.
Of course. The food has to be good.
But the sources suggest something else drives that massive scale. I saw one report mentioning $125 million in annual revenue just in the UK and US. So what did you find was the real engine there financially, beyond just great dishes?
What came through was this kind of brutal financial clarity. Ramsay believes people don't just come back for amazing flavor, they come back for something maybe even more fundamental: predictability.
Predictability.
He put it really bluntly in an interview, something like, "I don't care how perfect the duck is in London if it tastes different in Las Vegas. That's not quality, that's chaos."
Wow.
And that belief totally reshaped how he thought about money.
Mm-hmm.
For him, money isn't the reward for creativity. It's the byproduct of systematic trust.
Trust.
Yeah. Every guest expects a certain texture, a specific heat, a consistent service tone. If those things wobble, the brand suffers, not just that one dish.
But doesn't that obsession with, repeatability potentially stifle the very creativity that got him those Michelin stars in the first place?
That's the paradox, right?
Yeah.
And our sources show his menus are remarkably stable. Plating's standardized. The training manuals are basically novels. For Ramsay, quality is repeatability. And repeatability is cash flow. He's not chasing applause. He's chasing operational rhythm.
Okay.
And Forbes noted this rhythm is incredibly profitable, especially with his U.S. expansion using licensing models.
Licensing models. Maybe explain that a bit.
Sure. So for Ramsay, it's kind of like franchising, but without compromising his control. Partners pay to use his brand and his super strict operational blueprints.
Oh.
And he collects brand fees, basically a slice of their revenue, without having to own and operate every single place himself. Less risk, more reach.
So he really engineered a machine, not just built restaurants.
Exactly.
Most celebrity chefs hit a peak, maybe one flagship, a few spin-offs.
Right.
But looking at his model, it's clear he built a blueprint for global replication, just surgical precision and oversight. Over 90 restaurants worldwide now, but he doesn't run them all directly.
No, he controls the brand like a general, through systems, structure, and this really strategic career path he's built.
Right.
And what's fascinating is the shift in 2024. That's when Gordon Ramsay Restaurants UK merged with the U.S. arm, formed a unified global company, a 50-50 joint venture with Lion Capital, a private equity firm.
Private equity. So that brings in serious cash and expertise.
Exactly. It wasn't just money. It was strategic know-how for scaling fast. This deal created a central control tower for international growth based in London. It allows him to push into new markets quickly, but keeping those standards intact.
It wasn't random then.
No, it was like 2 decades of layering. Michelin stars for prestige, TV for fame, licensing for scale, and now equity partners for sustainable growth without burning out.
There was one small detail we found that sort of explains everything. Ramsay insists every new restaurant, even licensed ones, gets an executive chef trained directly under his system.
Yeah, that's crucial.
These chefs aren't just cooks, they're brand enforcers. From plating to how servers talk to guests, it all has to echo the Gordon Ramsay experience.
It's decentralized execution, but with a centralized soul.
And it's working. The Times reported last year his global group passed 9,850 employees, serving over 10 million customers a year.
That kind of volume, I mean, it would just collapse under a loose system. But Ramsay's model is built for that pressure. He hires tough, promotes harder, rotates senior staff across continents. Nobody gets too comfortable.
Not even the top people.
Nope. The deeper truth here is he treats restaurants not as creative outlets, but as valuable brand assets.
Yep.
Think of each one like a node in a network, a consistent point in this larger controlled system. This lets his, let's call it influence architecture.
Influence architecture, I like that.
Yeah. How he projects his brand globally, it scales without him needing to be physically present. Control without dilution. It's the same thinking luxury fashion or tech giants use. He just applied it to hospitality.
And this didn't just happen. He learned from failure, right?
Yeah.
Back in 2010, his empire nearly collapsed financially, over-leveraged.
Big time. Lawsuits, debt, public humiliation.
Yeah, but he rebuilt from that. With new rules. Own less, control more, expand slower, enforce harder.
Exactly.
That's why every new place apparently launches with a checklist of over 200 operational standards. Ventilation strength, menu font size. This isn't just a chef growing a business. It's an operator building a resilient asset system. One where the brand isn't stretched thin, it's scaled tight.
Because he knows careers built just on charisma, they fade.
Right.
But careers built on controlled infrastructure, they compound.
So we've got the financial and operational blueprints, but none of that happens without the person driving it.
Exactly. The personal discipline underpinning all this is immense. Let's talk about his high-performance habits.
Okay.
What's fascinating here is that Ramsay's success isn't just about the spotlight stuff. It's about what he does when nobody's watching.
Right.
We see the fury, the flamboyance, but his real edge. It's these relentless habits few could sustain. His day starts with control, not creativity.
How so?
He's known for surprise kitchen audits, shows up unannounced, London, Vegas, wherever, checking tiny details. Are the knives aligned? Fryer oil fresh? Music too loud?
Wow. I read about a former staffer recalling him walking into a new place, tasting mashed potatoes, and just saying, "Too safe, that's not us."
And boom, gone from the menu.
It's like that. But the habit people talk about most, the one that baffles everyone, is his rule. Never ask guests, "Is your food good?"
Yeah, that one's amazing.
Banned. Why on earth ban such a normal question?
Because, in his view, it creates an opening for subjective feedback on something that should already be objectively excellent. He basically said, if you have to ask that question you're already unsure, serve it right or don't serve it at all.
Okay, that's intense.
It is. This obsessive approach turns even routine stuff into rituals of precision. Menus engineered for speed, consistency, zero compromise, dishes timed, stations cleaned like operating rooms, staff rehearsing greetings.
So it's not just confidence, it's about eliminating variables, cutting out anything that undermine consistency. That's quite a reframe.
Totally. And it's not just in the kitchen, it's how he lives. Trains daily. Runs marathons, sleeps purposefully, eats intentionally.
Right.
He said something like, if I'm not physically sharp, I can't be mentally sharp. And if I'm not mentally sharp, someone else gets sloppy and I'll miss it.
So his own discipline sets the tone for everyone.
That's the belief. He leads by modeling, not just shouting. His energy, his urgency, it infects the teams.
Okay.
And there's the habit of emotional reset. Despite the TV explosions, insiders say he compartmentalizes. He might erupt during service. But afterwards, he debriefs with this surgical calm. What went wrong, what improved, what must never happen again.
That mix of intensity and clarity. It's a habit loop, keeping the empire tight.
Absolutely. No excuse-making tolerated, no praise for mediocrity. Loyalty doesn't override standards. If a head chef slips on precision, replaced, sometimes overnight.
It's incredibly tough, unyielding. But, there's a stark honesty to it, isn't there? No hiding.
Exactly. Because in Ramsay's world, the greatest kindness isn't being lenient. It's setting a standard so high that nobody below it can hide.
Right.
And that's the habit that truly scales. Refuse to accept anything less than your exact vision every single time.
Which really brings us to his whole philosophy, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because if there's one thing Gordon Ramsay doesn't seem to believe in, it's balance.
He doesn't chase it, doesn't preach it. For Ramsay, greatness isn't from balance, it's from precision. Choosing what matters most, cutting ruthlessly through the rest.
His life philosophy, anchored in one word.
Yeah.
Standards.
Yeah. And it started early. His childhood in Scotland, defined by volatility. Alcoholic, abusive father figure, moving constantly, 17 different homes by his teens.
Wow, 17.
Chaos was the norm. So young Ramsay developed his own rebellion, control. In a world he couldn't trust, he created one he could, in the kitchen.
Through cooking.
Measurements, timing, repetition, heat. He learned to make order from madness.
And that obsession with control stuck with him.
It did, but it evolved, became philosophical, not just personal. He started seeing life itself as a kitchen. Prep for what matters, fire with intensity, cut what slows you down.
That explains why he's so decisive.
Totally. Someone asked how he makes tough calls, firing staff, closing locations. He said, I don't hesitate. If I've seen the same mistake twice, I've already waited too long.
Oof. Brutal.
He doesn't romanticize potential. He executes based on behavior. Most leaders shy away from that, but he leans in. Emotion clouds judgment. Unchecked loyalty creates blind spots.
Right.
Decisions aren't based on hope. They're based on data, pattern recognition.
But it's not just sharpness, is it? There's that surprising depth underneath sometimes.
Exactly. Despite the rage, there are these moments of staggering empathy. Like on Kitchen Nightmares, remember? He broke down watching an owner sleep in a booth to save his home.
I remember that.
He paid the guy's rent, restructured his kitchen, walked away quietly. No cameras, no PR.
That really flips the script on the common perception. So for him, control isn't cruelty.
No, it's compassion, enforced. His way of protecting people from their own drift, maybe. Giving them structure when the world won't.
That makes sense.
That's why he mentors chefs like athletes. Track progress. Forces rotation. Pushes them past comfort. Because comfort creates decay.
And decay is silent before it's obvious.
Exactly. And in his personal life, same rules. Raises his kids without inheritance, earn your own way. Keeps his marriage fiercely private. Refuses to let fame corrupt the rituals that keep him whole.
So it's nothing he doesn't feel.
It's that he feels too much. And so he structures his world tightly to hold it all together. The decisions might seem cold, but they come from fire. The fire of someone who once had no control and now protects it relentlessly.
Which brings us to his power, his influence, his brand philosophy. Power, for Ramsay, isn't really about dominance, is it? It's more about presence.
Presence? Yeah, that's a good word for it.
He doesn't need to be in every kitchen, doesn't taste every dish.
Yeah.
Yet you walk into one of his 90 places, Singapore or Florida, and you feel him.
You do.
In the plating, the pace, the silence after a mistake. That's not luck. That's brand strategy, sharpened into that influence architecture you mentioned.
While most chefs chase the spotlight, Ramsay chases infrastructure. He builds replicable experiences.
Every detail.
Light fixtures, greeting lines, menu descriptions. It's control at scale. That's how his name became a global standard.
Well,
and notice, he doesn't white label. It's always Gordon Ramsay Hell's Kitchen, Gordon Ramsay Burger, Gordon Ramsay Steak. No dilution, no vagueness.
Why is that so important?
Because he gets something few celebrities grasp. The moment your brand gets too flexible, it just sort of disappears.
It's remarkable how involved he stays, even from afar. Those licensing deals we talked about.
Non-negotiable terms. Chefs trained in his kitchens, supply chains following his protocols, decor matching a central file.
And that meticulous control doesn't restrict growth. It powers it. Look at Vegas.
6 restaurants on the Strip by 2024. Tourists go for the Gordon Ramsay effect, the sense that the meal will feel the same thousands of miles from London.
That is influence, not by proximity, but by precision.
But his real power, I think, comes from refusing to compromise that brand, even when investors push for faster growth, or media wants him to be softer, or staff want exceptions.
He doesn't bend.
Nope. Because he knows. Every compromise at the top becomes chaos at the bottom.
There's something unyielding there, but also really honest.
It is. His power is earned, rooted in the grind, not the glamour. And he guards it fiercely. His influence isn't just follower counts.
Right.
It's how many people model their standards after his. Chefs, entrepreneurs, executives. Not because they want to yell like him.
No, hopefully not.
But because they want to build something that doesn't break when they're not in the room. In that sense, Ramsay's brand isn't food, it's trust. Engineered, protected, and scaled.
Because real influence, like real heat, needs to stay steady.
Exactly.
Which brings us to his crisis strategy and thinking long-term. Most empires crumble quietly, right? Not one big storm, but slow erosion of standards. Ramsay's faced the storm more than once.
He has. And came back stronger each time. Not by reacting harder, but by thinking longer.
That 2010 near collapse must have been brutal. Overextended, debts, partners turning on him, even his father-in-law.
Yeah, mismanaging funds. That would end most people. But Ramsay didn't implode. He restructured, took back full control, cut risky ventures, rewrote contracts with a lawyer's eye.
That near-death business experience, it rewired him.
Totally. From then on, every move became long-game focused. Stop chasing scale. Start building systems that could survive him.
A tough lesson. What specific changes stuck after that? And then, of course, came COVID.
Right. 2020, global lockdowns, restaurants shut down, revenue plummets, tourism evaporates.
Nightmare scenario for hospitality.
But while others panicked, Ramsay pivoted, shifted staff to cloud kitchens delivery only, pushed delivery experiences that mirrored fine dining, invested heavily in his masterclass platform.
Creating a new revenue stream outside physical restaurants.
Exactly. He didn't just protect jobs, he repurposed them. He said during the pandemic something like, "This isn't the end of hospitality. It's the reset we needed. The strong will adapt. The arrogant will vanish."
And he was right.
By 2023, his group hadn't just recovered. It expanded. That bold merger of UK and US operations with Lion Capital.
Right? The global holding company.
That wasn't just about scale. It was about stability. Consolidating oversight, cutting redundancy, preparing for a volatile future.
So what's profound here is his crisis strategy is rooted in control, but not of the external world.
No, control of internal fundamentals. He doesn't waste energy blaming the market. He strengthens his people, reinforces training, audits costs, doubles down on what he calls the sacred non-negotiables.
Standards that never drop, even when margins do.
That's why his empire endures. He doesn't build for the good times. He builds for when things go wrong.
The lesson seems simple, but
rarely applied. Crisis doesn't build character, it reveals systems. And Ramsay's system, relentless control, uncompromising quality, radical adaptability, it bends, but it doesn't break.
So we've journeyed through this empire of control from early struggles to global dominance. As we wrap up this deep dive, what's the ultimate lesson here?
I think it's this. Gordon Ramsay didn't build an empire just because he screamed loudest. He built it because he saw something most people miss. Excellence isn't just talent. It's about what you refuse to tolerate. His 90 restaurants, the $220 million net worth, his brand woven into food culture. It all stems from one kind of brutal truth. What you allow multiplies.
Okay.
Allow inconsistency, you get chaos. Allow excuses, you get decline. Allow mediocrity, it becomes your culture.
And he just doesn't allow those things.
Not because he's perfect, but because he knows the cost of letting things slide. In business, behavior, life.
So control isn't a prison, it's a path.
It's the path to trust, consistency, and ultimately a lasting legacy.
Yeah, so success isn't about doing everything, it's about fiercely protecting what matters most.
And ruthlessly cutting away the rest.
And, you know, if you've ever been told you're too intense, maybe too controlling, too demanding, perhaps it's just because the world isn't used to someone with such high standards. Maybe your standards make people uncomfortable because they've let their own slide. And maybe, just maybe, that obsession with precision isn't the problem.
Maybe it's the start of something extraordinary. It raises a really important question for you listening right now. What's one thing in your life today that deserves more control, not less?
That's a powerful thought.
Because sometimes the most important lesson isn't about being more flexible. It's about finally standing firm.